Hi everyone, this is Jonas and we're Mind and Mayhem. Thanks for tuning in. This is an exciting new podcast where Dave and I will be discussing about new topics that we find interesting in psychology, philosophy, and just generally life. Come along for the ride. It's going to be exciting, I promise you. Please drop any comments in the description. And without further ado, let's jump into another episode.
I don't know, man. It was just so crazy. Like I was thinking I'm gonna do this today in the morning. You wake up, you skip breakfast, and then you do it. That's what people tell you, right? You should do it in the morning. Don't eat beforehand. So I had my big, ramen with tuna, and then I was like, we were working on a project, a friend and me, till like 9 p.m. Then I was like, screw this, I'm just gonna do it now. And so I ate my so I ate my 30 grams of mushrooms. And yeah, immediately I felt like my stomach was not doing well, was not great. So I yeah, you can see what's coming. I had to release the tuna back out. And unfortunately, yeah, so I thought this is over, because I puked, so I thought nothing's gonna happen, right? I thought the mushrooms are out, nothing's gonna happen. And so for
Mhm.
2 hours, like 3 hours, it was really chill. I didn't feel much, just a little bit deeper vision and some deeper thoughts, but yeah. And then all of a sudden it hit. I don't know.
What do you see?
Yeah, like the music, like later the music was like going through me, and I don't know. It was just, yeah, it was a bit crazy. Like
So
when
I
I was
don't.
sending songs, like I think I spammed you a lot on WhatsApp.
Yeah, that's okay. But I don't think it's 30 gram though, because 30 grams is a completely different experience. Like I know that for a fact, because like the largest I know someone can take is probably like up to 10 or something. And heroic dose is 6 gram. So that means if you take 6 gram of shrooms, you have ego death. Like reality is like a blur. Like some people
Yeah,
experience like they go through some kind of motion, like they experience full darkness and then they fall into that darkness, that never ending darkness, and they have no sense of self. They see like all the previous memories, or they live among those memories. They see like God, so they see nature, they see random things, and they're like in the midst of that. That's what 30 grams do. Like you can't, you're not part of the world. That's what I'm saying. That's
yeah. Last
30.
time I did, last time I did 25 grams, and I was also in that state. I was
Oh,
on a mountain, and
yeah,
so I was laying down, and I
yeah.
felt like the mountain. I disappeared, and I was like in the mountain, and the mountain was in me, and I could. I was just laying like this, and
Hmm.
the mountain was like going through me. I kind of disappeared. I didn't know where my body was starting or ending.
Hmm.
But yeah, yesterday it was really weird because then it came all of a sudden, and then yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what the measurement is, because we usually like, so those things you said, like that happens like in 3-4 grams of shrooms, 3-4 grams, and six is like the six to like beyond six, it's the max. So 30 is a lot. So like that's what I'm saying. So there might be a different measurement. So
Well, it's just a mushroom. There's nothing. It's just mushroom, right?
no, you can measure it.
Yeah, but it's 30 grams.
Huh, I don't know, man. 30 grams is like this much. It's a lot.
No, 30, 30,
Yeah, yeah.
not 300.
Or it could be
30
30.
grams is like this.
Huh. I think it's more than that, right? I don't know. 30.
Well, roughly.
No, because I think because I check every website right now, and they say, oh, start with like 25 or like 1 gram of mushrooms. Okay. I don't know.
Okay. I definitely didn't listen to any of those things. Let me see. I don't know if this is a good measurement.
Is that the box?
No, this is tea bags, right?
Oh,
So one
okay.
tea bag is like, what is it, 1.5 grams?
Is it?
So maybe it's like 6, but it's not very heavy, right? So maybe 16, it's like this.
Yeah, but
It's not heavy though.
yeah,
But doesn't
shrooms are not that heavy. So, let me share my screen. So, that's cool. That is cool. If you could share my screen, entire screen. All right, you can see, eh?
Yeah.
So, oh yeah. So this is what I mean.
What?
Because I think the measurements are completely different. So what I think is it's a milligram. This is my
No.
because whatever you said you got, like that's the most expected effects. Because people who take like 5 or 6 grams at once, they usually take some days to recover from that. That's how it is. And
Last time I took some days.
yeah, that must be more. Then probably that must be at least like somewhere ultra high dose. But you see, the ultra high dose is 5 grams. It's not 30. It's not 30 or 25. So that's why there's a
But I
huge.
did. I did 25 last time. And obviously yesterday I did 30 grams, but as I said, I had to barf, so I only, maybe it was like 5 grams or something.
See, like it's really rare to see. Like that's what they say. So that's why it must be a completely different rate. Because I don't know how you can measure it, but they said
Oh, dried mushrooms. It's not a dried mushrooms, it's a fresh mushroom. We have fresh mushrooms.
I don't know. It's just I'm just saying the thingy is different. That's all I'm saying.
No, look, if it's dried, it loses its water, right? So it's less heavy.
Fresh,
If you good fresh mushrooms.
fresh magic shrooms. I don't know how much different.
Fresh mushrooms are 80% water, so you can multiply it by 5, and you have the
Potency.
amount. If you multiply it by 5, so 5 grams is heroic dose, so 5 times it's 25 grams.
So because you're including the water weight too, right? So
Exactly.
that must be different. So it really depends on how much the water weight is.
Yeah, it's
It's
80% water. It's 80% water, so.
but they said fresh ones weighing up to 10 times heavier too. So
10 times, up to 10 times. I don't know, 5 times, 10 times more, something
yeah,
like that.
that's tough though. So like I would say like if I were to ballpark it to like dry mushrooms, whatever, it would be like around 3 to 4. Yeah, like whatever you took. So because that's a pretty heavy one, and don't get me wrong, as someone who's taken like 3.5, and I did acid together with this once, one tab acid and this on at a rave, and then I took a bit of Molly. Oh, dude, that was my second time ever doing psychedelics,
Not
and on.
everything together, man.
Oh no, trust me, I handled it. Except I was fine. I was fine. Like I made it out in one piece. I danced my night away. It
Sure.
was 2 years
Wow.
ago exactly. 2 years ago exactly, the same time, February something 16 or something. It was doing like the family.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy though. Wow.
No,
But
because in the Netherlands, it's legal and they grow them.
yeah, they call it truffles or something. That's what I've
Yeah,
read.
exactly.
So, so is everyone like tripping like every other day, or what's the deal in Netherlands and other places?
They're very liberal. You can find anything. Well, not the super heavy drugs, but they're basically selling them in Canada in the weed stores. It's a similar type of store where you can buy magic mushrooms. You can buy, I don't know. I don't think you can buy LSD. But yeah, a lot of stuff. Weed also. Yeah, more stuff. I'm not sure. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. And I don't know, like you can buy it online also. So I just ordered it from the Netherlands.
Okay.
Even though in Germany it's not allowed, but yeah.
Oh damn! If someone sees this, someone from Germany sees it, they're like, "Oh, this guy's gone."
No, I mean, so many Germans go to the Netherlands just for these things, right? So it's normal.
I mean, if you go to any festival here in Canada, you see that. Like, I think there's this festival called Shambhala where they
Yeah,
actually
yeah, yeah.
promote it. So if you know not going with anything like any substances, it's like you're the odd one out. Like literally, like what I heard is they segregated people, like the people who don't do any substances, into a certain different camp or something. It's like definitely segregation, dude. At this point, yeah, it's
Sure. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I would want to do it in a crowd because like it's so
oof, it's definitely
un
intense.
un unpredictable. Yeah.
It's very unpredictable. It's very risky. I wouldn't suggest because I don't know how anyone's gonna turn out. But I would suggest at least do it once beforehand in a different setting. Yeah. But yeah, every time I've done it, like anytime I've done psychedelics, it's always been in a crowd. But
Wow.
make sure you wear your shades though. If you wear your shades, dude, they just think that you're like the coolest ever motherfucker while you're like freaking inside. You've got that stone cold face, but it's like inside you just fuck, what the fuck is happening right now?
No, my eyes are like this the whole time, you know?
Oh yeah, that's why you wear the shades, right? When you wear the shades, people can't tell the difference. It's like you're wearing something black shades when you're out in public. And then, but there are like some people who can tell, like the more experienced ones. They're like, "Oh God, what's happening?" Or like, "Oh, yeah, some random woman, older woman." She said, "Safe, be safe, or happy tripping, or something like that." And I was like, was like, "Oh shit!" I'm like fighting my demons at that point. I'm like, "Oh, cool. I guess someone's on my side."
Yes.
May the force be with you. You just randomly say
Yeah.
that. Oh God.
I don't know. Yeah, even yesterday, I don't know. I thought I'm like I can feel comfortable here in my own apartment and but somehow it turned out pretty bad in the end. I don't know. I guess something, yeah. I guess you shouldn't I shouldn't do it alone, you know. Yeah. I
Mm.
got panicked. I just had a lot of worry and panic at the end.
I would usually write it down because writing things usually helps a bit with the
I
panic.
did.
Okay.
I did. Yeah. And I was like running around the apartment frantically and just it was chaos. And I laid down on the carpet and I was like where my stuff is like everywhere and I just like when can this please stop? And I just like covered myself in the blanket and just like lay down on the carpet.
Wow.
I think the idea of taking my phone wasn't great because I was like, should I write to someone? I was like typing, like texting something to my mom, or I was like, then I deleted it again and I did it again and I deleted it again. And I was like, oh, fuck. And it just went too much. It just became too much. Because
Did
like
you?
I know she was kind of worried because the day before I wasn't doing so well the day before, and I was like I told her that something's going on, and then I was like, I just wanted to tell her that I'm okay. And so I
Hmm.
sent her some message like I'm doing amazing, like at 12:30 or something. I sent her like, Mom, I'm doing amazing. And then I deleted it again and I sent something else again. And I deleted it again. And I was like started to record a voice note and then I deleted it again. I was like, oh fuck, what do I do? It just kept going and I was like, my mind kept it was like spinning out of control. I'm like, I want to be stable. I don't want to hurt anyone by being so frantic. Like yesterday, I'm like this, today, I'm like this. And I was like, Mom, please trust me, I'm fine. And then when it was finally wearing off, I texted her at like 3:30 in the morning. I was like, Mom, I just wanted to tell you I'm fine. I just said good night. Yeah, it was a bit funny. And then I woke up at 2:30 p.m. today or something. It was insane. I don't know. I ordered food as well when I was doing better. I was like, I'm gonna order some donair and like a lot of Coca-Cola and just yeah, that helped a lot also.
Hmm. Especially if you haven't eaten, right? And you're just like,
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, but before that, there was some stuff like it was quite deep. Some stuff it was really deep, you know. I was actually glad I did listen to the music because the music was really powerful. Like I could see the colors were like, you know, on Spotify it has the little animation thing now.
Hmm.
I'll show you. And that thing I was just looking at it and it's just like changing the whole time. And where is it? Here. Like and you just look in the middle of it and it's just like
That is funny.
and like my mind was like the colors and it's like purple, pink, yellow, blue, and it's just like all in
Oh
one.
yeah,
And it's just and then every song just changed and I kept replaying. Like I kept replaying and I think I texted you. I was like, replay this last thing, replay it, replay this like and I just kept replaying like, and it felt like the sound was like fading when something gets quiet and it's like really loud and then the bass drops and it gets quiet. I feel like that moment where it gets quiet it
yeah.
takes forever. It took forever. It's like I don't want it to stop, and it's just like you just feel it.
I told you, right? Time slows
Yes.
down. Like you feel like every little thing in the music. Like you feel
Yeah.
music so much. Like you feel like every instrument, every layer, every pad.
Yes.
You feel it in a different way. It's crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You can also do
Yeah.
this with weed too, which is surprising to some people. But I think to
Some
people
people.
who smoke
Yeah.
weed, they know this. Who like long time users, they smoke weed. They know you enjoy music uh, much better when you smoke weed. Have some puff or two, and then slowly you can feel the music more deeply. You can't do that with
Right.
alcohol. You can't do that with alcohol. You can't do that with cocaine. And no, I don't know the other ones, but I know you can do this with weed, and I know you can do it with K,
Right.
and most psychedelics for sure.
Psychedelic. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't gone
No.
further
Yeah.
than that.
No, I don't like weed to be honest. It makes me also a bit panicky and
Hmm.
anxious and I don't like it. It doesn't work for me. And I get
There's,
really
di-
tired and anxious at the same time and I don't like it. Yeah.
there's different strains of weed. That's the thing.
Maybe,
So
yeah.
this like that's just one strain of weed. Other strain of weed makes you the opposite. Makes you more energetic and makes you more creative. Then there are the strains that make you more like you just want to like sit on the couch. Your body's like a slug. You
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
even
yeah.
move anywhere. And there are ones that make you pretty anxious too. But it's like those ones I would always suggest to go low and slow. Pretty sensitive to weed, so I get gone if I do a bong rip, like a bong, like a huge. Have you seen a bong?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, dude, I can't handle that. That like I'm like in a different world after that. If I'm not nervous, but it's like if I'm not nervous, I'm just like gone, like completely different, my own little world, probably philosophical.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was like
it's
really
interesting.
philosophical for me. With weed, it gets really philosophical for you?
Yeah,
Yeah? Okay.
shrooms also does that.
Shrooms
That's when
maybe,
I'm.
yeah.
That's when I bring out my what's it called, my journal. I start writing down things
Yeah.
because there's like less chance that I'm gonna remember it when I'm sober, and it's like hell yeah,
True.
it's a cool different perspective,
True.
very cool perspective that I would not have considered when I was sober. And there are some things that I already knew when I'm sober, but you access like different um, parts of your unconscious mind. So like the things that are like below the iceberg, below the tip of the iceberg, right? So that's like 80 or 90% of our thoughts, our behaviors, our patterns, existing neural links. It's crazy. So shrooms and stuff, they just like weaken a bit of those and create new synapses. That's what I read and as explained in as to a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old. It's much easier to make sense that way. But yeah, you could expand more on that.
For sure. I mean, yeah, like sometimes I think I I think different thoughts, but also then I realized actually this is just me. It's still me even when I'm on shrooms or when I'm not. I just maybe I have access or I put it in a different way or I'll say it in a deeper sense or I don't just think it, I feel this thing as well. You know, like when the music was stopping, this when the music was slowing down and then it kept accelerating again and was slowing down again. So this was like normally sometimes I think this when I'm sober, but this time I was also like feeling it with all of my body, if that makes sense. Like I was feeling like the whole universe, like everything, every existing, everything that exists, every being, every particle, everything, like it stops, like it collapses, like it grows, it matures and then it dies, and then it matures and it grows and then it dies. Like everything is always changing. Either it's increasing or it's decreasing. You know, this is like a universal. I feel like it's felt like a universal truth in life or in the universe. And like I was reading this book. It's called the I Ching. It's an ancient. I don't know if I'm pronouncing correctly, but it's a very old, like 2 or 3 thousand years old book from the China region before Confucius, and they tried to analyze like the patterns of change in the universe. And so basically, they came up with all these 64 patterns of like increasing and decreasing, like everything is growing and decaying all the time. And they analyze everything really deeply. And so I was like, damn, this is like in the music. The music is just a perfect reflection of this because this tone is coming up and it's increasing, like then the beat drops and then it's like slowly fades away. And then it drops again and it's like boom, and then it stops again. So it's like I was like on this roller coaster of increasing and decreasing. It's like, and then I think just the roller coaster went too fast. So then I dropped at some point. It was just too much for my brain at some point.
Too much to
Yeah.
handle.
Yeah, it became a bit overwhelming. But I pushed it a bit. Like I was listening to the music, like my speakers were like at full volume the whole time, and I was like looking at those colorful pictures like that I showed you, right? Like all these animations, and it's like ding 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 ding, and you're just waiting for it to happen, right? Oh man.
Yeah, so I definitely think there's some truth to it because there's yin and yang, so increasing and decreasing. So the main reason why it increases and decreases is to find that balance. So that's how life is, right? We try to find structure and we have to keep doing things, trial and error, see what works, see what doesn't work, see what's the best fit, the best way
Yeah,
to make sure that everything feels in place by adjusting like one or two parameters here by there. And
yeah,
balance doesn't mean it should be 50%. That's what I've learned. It can be 60 to 40%, or it could be 70 to 30%, as long as it makes sense to you,
right.
because it's very individual. And yeah, that seems like a cool book. I do want to definitely check it out. And about this being sensitive again, two things. I feel like we are highly sensitive people. HSP, check it out, HSP. So it's some term that
Oh,
some psychologists made it up. But yeah, we are
okay.
very sensitive to the environment, the stimuli, etc. We feel
Right.
things more deeply than other people who do. We feel more empathetic than other people. It's very it's very nice because not everyone has that skill. And when you do have it, it's very tough to live in this world because I know people who struggle from that and who
Right.
think of it like a disorder, but it's not a disorder because it's actually like a gift that you can use
Right.
to understand yourself. And yeah.
Oh,
Second thing, we are so when we're sober, when we're babies, our perception of reality is much different compared to when we are more grown up. So we take a lot of things at first. We experience everything. We sense everything much deeply when we are babies, even though we can't really articulate it. But you have seen babies cry or show emotions all the time, right? So they are
Yeah.
feeling it somehow, even though they can't like use their head or their brain to articulate it into words. But yeah, so when we're grown up, we are desensitized to a lot of things that are happening in the world, and it's very fast. It's very subconscious too. It's like you don't even imagine it because you don't even think about it because you're already like desensitized to it, and you're like going for the next thing, that for the next new experience or the next new
Right.
stimuli. That's what you're looking for. Yeah, so when you do like substances like psychedelics, all those things that you may have overlooked when you were sober, they start to make more sense to you because you feel resensitized to them again. And that's why it holds like a special meaning. And that's how you kind of understand what it means, and you get a different view on things without like adding more layers. You just change the layer completely, the base layer. That's the only way I could describe it. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we have access to the emotions that are kind of buried underneath sometimes because, well, at least for me, sometimes I tend to try to solve everything. And I think there was a saying like someone told me like life is not a problem to be solved, but it's an experience or it's something to experience. And so, but sometimes we're in this cognitive mode where we just like we're running errands, we have a to-do list, and we have all these problems, and we're just solving everything with our mind and trying to like a puzzle. We just try to get through it and solve everything. But then we forget to feel and to just pause and reflect and see what is this like and what's driving me and why am I running like after everything? Why am I not stopping? Why am I like, so what's the emotion behind this? Like, am I afraid of something? Am I nervous? Like, what's going on, right? Like, why am I not stopping to feel? And then I think psychedelics removes this control of your conscience to like suppress and to control and to plan everything. And it's just this babyish mode where you're really vulnerable and you have more direct access to your feelings, I think.
Yeah, that's very well put. You definitely experience things differently.
Yeah. 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 I wonder what you said about the sensitive, like highly sensitive person thing. I don't know. I think I struggled with this before. I think I was like, I just want to be more zen. I just want to be more calm and balanced. And, I just
Mhm.
felt like this emotional roller coaster sometimes. But, well, there were just other things going on in my life. And I, I think nowadays, I think it's not exclusive. Like you can be sensitive, but you can still be calm and like at your center in a little bit, you know.
Mhm.
It's not that you have to be either or, you can be a bit of both. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Nothing is ever mutually exclusive from each other. There's,
Yeah. And that's super important to realize because like sometimes we often I think we make these mistakes where we think it has to be perfect, it has to be black or white, it has to be either this or that. Like when you said it has to be like I have to have 50% this and 50% that to be in my balance, right? But like why? Why do you have to be so exact? Like why does it have to be
Mhm.
perfect when in reality? And I think again like psychedelics has helped me realize this, like in reality there's no such thing, there's no difference. I felt like there's no difference between rise and decay because it's the same thing. Like you can only die when you've been born, and only what gets born, like you have to get born out of something else that dies. Like it's a cycle, right? And so one thing is not different from the other, it's actually the same thing, it's just two sides of the same thing, if that makes sense. And so sometimes we just like we want to live forever, and we have this thing like we're gonna we're going to fight all these diseases, and we're going to live forever, and we're going to be forever young, and all this. Like we try to do everything to prevent the inevitable. Like, I'm not saying we shouldn't research, do cancer research. Like, it's great, right? But like, don't fall for this illusion that you can prevent dying, or you can like live forever, and death is not a thing, because then actually death is more scary to you, because this whole time you've been like pretending that this is not a thing and that death doesn't exist, but actually you're scared of it, because you're doing everything to prevent it. But if you accept that it's a thing that has to happen to everyone, then you don't have to have a reason to be afraid, right? Yeah.
It's very natural. It's very natural, like a life cycle, right? Death and life. It's like a never-ending cycle. It's very interesting. We don't know what happens after we die, too. So are we
Yeah.
actually going to a different place, or are we just going to be reborn into someone else, and the wheel continues? Now that's from a show called Wheel of Time.
Yeah, what do you think?
It's interesting. I think we get reborn,
Yeah.
but completely we don't have no memory of previous experiences or previous lives
Right.
or future lives. But yeah, so yeah, that's what I think. It makes more sense because we go back from dust, and then we come from dust and we go back to dust, and then come back again and go back as long as the earth is there in this world, in this solar system.
Yeah.
Everything keeps moving, keeps rotating, just like that. And yeah, you earlier on you mentioned how our feelings, right? We try not to control them, and somehow like there's an instinct to act or to feel some kind of urge. I think it's evolutionary. So that's how humans were destined, or like from the early ages, to focus on what they like, or when there's tough times, or when there's people trying to hunt, or these are all like necessary survival and reproduction skills, even from the early ages, even before people could even properly talk. Their feelings definitely guided them to some extent, because
Mhm.
humans are primarily non-verbal, right? So they can understand things non-verbally compared to just verbal things. Because language, when was language created? Like written language,
Yeah,
definitely like a lot of years after people knew how to
that's true.
communicate already before. So it's definitely interesting. So yeah, and like right now we put a lot of labels into things. The more we pretend, or the more we guess know about different things, but again we don't really know everything, right? Again, it's just a
Yeah.
bunch of people. We try to prove things by science, but then science has its limitations, and then there's peer review studies, and there's like other studies which also proves different things. To some extent it's just we are going by the consensus of the majority when it comes to science, and because that's kind of taken as the objective truth. And obviously, if you can measure it, it's better because it gives you better results empirically. But yeah,
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, I wonder like how in evolution we managed to communicate to with each other when I never thought about that. We didn't have language. Yeah, yeah, I know, but like but it's like we don't think about this. Uh, I wish I could go back and just be there, like just live the life for one day. Do you ever wish you could time travel? I wish I could
mm,
time travel and just try it. Like, what is it like? I
definitely.
think it's so weird. Have you in Germany? There's this show. It's called Seven versus Wild, and it's a TV show. It's like I'm sure there's something in Canada like that, or in the US, where it's like people go into the wilderness,
Mm.
and they try to they have to survive. Basically, it's a survival show. They just drop them somewhere in the middle of nowhere. There's no water, like there's no food, nothing, and in the winter, and these are people that are living in big cities, right? They're used to all the conveniences, and just like you and like I am like this too. Like I live in the city, right? But it's like you're used to just being able to go to the supermarket. Like even we have delivery apps where we can buy everything at 24/7. We can just get anything delivered, and it's like life is so convenient. And then modern people we have all this convenience. We gained all this convenience over thousands of years, where life was really hard. Like what those people you're talking about before language, like thousands of years ago, before language existed, they had to get up every morning, and like you have to find food. It's all about survival, right? You have to find a place to sleep, and it's like life is really hard. And then nowadays, life is so easy, but people want to go back to this hard life because they're bored, and they're like looking at their smartphones and like playing social media, and it's like, dude, I have nothing to do. I want to go into the wilderness and live the real life, right? Like I want to be dropped in the bush and have nothing to eat and see what happens, right? And it's like this guy was like TikTok addicted. Like he was like while he was in the wilderness, like his hand was like constantly like, where's my phone? Like he was trying to get his phone, but obviously he had no phone and he had no reception. So he's like, damn, where's my phone? I want to scroll on TikTok, and it's just hilarious. Yeah.
Did they make Get Out alive, all of them together?
Not all of them. Like it was 7 people, and I think 3 or 4 of them made it.
What happened to the
Yeah,
rest?
they died. No. I mean, no,
But that'd
like
be
there's
cool though. That'd be cool though. Like that's like an actual crazy, like insane reality show, like a Squid Games type of show.
like this is a real like
Hmm.
reality show, like a real reality. No, they have like an emergency button, and they can press the button, and then they pick them up by helicopter or something. Yeah. So 3 of them had to leave. Actually, the first one left, I think, on the second day, even though he was really experienced. Like he's done this kind of thing many times, but just because the group they were fighting, like they just had so much conflict, they just didn't like each other, and so he left. He was like, "Oh, this doesn't work. They don't like me. They're mobbing me, and they're excluding me." And so he left. But I mean, like, I understand from his perspective, because like in these things, like that's how group dynamics plays a big role, because when it's about survival, it's about survival. Like you can't afford to have someone like not helping the group, or like it's just crazy. It's different. Yeah.
I mean, that's why people, if you're the leader of the group, then you are the leader of the tribe, and you are
Yes.
making sure that everyone survives. And obviously, they put women and children first, and then men last. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
It's been there since like early times, right? Early ages. It's crazy. And people who do
Yeah.
get cast out of the tribe, they most likely end up dying, or like the small likelihood they become nomads. They travel to different places,
Yeah.
procreate there, but it's like they do it the hard way, and it's
That's
very interesting.
that's really hard, though. Being by yourself in the wilderness, it's really hard. Yeah.
It's fun though if people know how to do it. There are like some people who love to do things by themselves.
Would you do it? Would you just like, if you have, but you have to have some escape. You have to have some emergency kind of way to get
Yeah.
out if things go wrong, right?
I'm not prepared for I'm not prepared for that. Like it's
In
really tough.
Edmonton winter, minus 30.
Dude, I try to hike. I get I'm gone after like 10 minutes of hiking, and I was comparing it with few people from Europe. I remember that one year, all of us went on a hiking trip. Bunch of guys from Netherlands, and I think this was Czech Republic. Yeah, it's crazy. So, dude, they are so fast, and it's like they do this when they're sleeping. It's insane. Like I can't keep up with them. It's like I'm like the one who's dragging them down. So like evolutionary times, yeah, it's like you're the guy that, oh shit, you're like bringing the group back, and like, oh damn, I might as well just just push him off the cliff. It's
They're
so much.
they're gonna kick you out of the tribe, man, and you're gonna be a nomad, and then you're gonna die, and just
No man, yeah.
no.
Fuck it. I didn't care about groups anyway. I'd rather be
Yeah,
solo.
who needs
Han,
people? Who
Han
needs
Solo.
people?
Exactly.
Yes.
Have
Yes.
my own little adventure. Go travel
Sure.
everywhere. Boom.
As long as it's not minus 30, then you'll be fine.
Exactly. As long as it's not anything less than 0 degree and above 25 degree, I'm fine. As long as you
0
keep
to
me.
25. What made you go to Edmonton? Tell me once again. Tell me how this happened.
Oh,
Oh
25 is
my.
still okay. Like it was 45 in Dubai. It's
Yeah. But then
so
if
cold.
you don't like minus, you don't like negative. So why do you go to Canada?
And you know what's the worst part? Like now I can't. No, I don't know if I liked it or not without ever coming to Canada.
True.
So you come
That's
here,
true.
you experience the first winter, then you're like, okay, now it's time to get the fuck out of here. And
And you're
unless
still there.
I'm still here, 2 more months or 3 more months, and then I'm done. And then
Really?
I'm just done. I mean, I'm not sure if I'm done with Edmonton or Canada itself, but I know I'm done with university, and that kind of takes a lot of load off my back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
definitely,
Yeah,
yeah.
but yeah, you seem pretty chill though compared to last time when you were like when we talked, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Talking helps.
Talking this, yeah. Like you're not also realizing you're not the only one. I think sometimes we think that we're all alone in this, and it's not true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Like it's time to like create different things or like meet new people, even though it's so hard to meet new people sometimes, especially during the cold times where it's like you kind of have to put the effort. Some
Oh
days are
yeah.
different. Make sure that I eat properly, make sure you sleep properly, make sure you see light in the morning because that's important too. Try to see the light early on. Try not to wake up very late because that kind of fucks up your sleep schedule. And then if the constant resetting kind of affects the circadian rhythm, and then pretty sure that affects your mood, and then it's like really
Sure.
weird. So yeah,
Yeah.
I've been trying to be consistent in that way, but yeah, I don't think I've slept before like before 11 or like before 12. Yeah, let's just say 12. I haven't slept before 12 in probably 7 or 8 years. I've never slept before 12. It's
Yeah.
very crazy. So it'll be nice one day. One day. I've never woke up at 6 or 5 or 6 since the past probably like 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not part of my life. I don't identify with that. I'm a night owl.
Lucky you. Sometimes you have to though. Like I have to. I have class at 7:30 and I don't know, sometimes I have to take the train at 5 a.m. or something like it's it's inevitable sometimes. Yeah. Even though I don't like it, but
Can't you choose your classes, the timings?
I do, but still I was like rather it was still better than on the other days because then I still preferred this because I
Okay.
had everything on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and otherwise I would have like one class on Thursday, one class on Friday, one on Tuesday, and it's like no, just have everything on 2 or 3 days rather. So, Yeah,
Okay.
I prefer that. So we'll see next semester. We'll see what happens.
How long is each class?
1.5 hours usually.
Okay. That sounds about right for us too. I have like bunch
Yeah.
of 3 hour classes, 3 hour night classes still.
Wow.
So it's like 3 hours, and it starts at 6, ends at 9. One ends at 9:30. It's a little bit.
Wow.
It's for me. It's okay because it's like, hey, that's my most alert times, right? I feel so alert. What's happening to everyone else? Why are they slacking off? Why are you sleeping right now? Everyone else, they like look so tired. I'm like, come on, bro. I'm ready.
Like, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go, bro. Let's go party after this.
Easy, yeah. But yeah, people prefer morning here for sure. And I don't know if it's too early morning too. Like you can't see the sunlight. The sun rises somewhere around 9 during the winter times. So yeah, it's like what's the point of waking up early if you're not going to see the sun?
Yes, true.
Yeah. So
Do you have class on main campus or?
yeah, main campus, just bunch of classes. I live like few blocks, so just walking distance.
Great.
And I'm still late to my class. Yeah, but at least I'm consistent though. I'm consistent.
Yes. Always late. At least you're always late. Not just
Yeah.
once. At least you're always late.
Exactly. Even like doing exams too. Like, oh, should I show up like the moment it hits like, hey, it hits the hour mark. At that time, you see me rolling in. Everyone's like seated, and everyone's like preparing to ride, and I'm like just walking slowly, some pajamas on because I'm like, oh shit, I didn't plan this in advance, and we're just walking. There's no seat in the back because everyone took those seats, and I would like sit right in the front, right near the prof, look them in the eye, and I'm like, yeah, there we go.
Well, I think exams is the only thing I'm early for. Yeah.
I don't like to be too early. Same thing with interviews too, because I don't like the energy that people who are at exams or interviews like for the most part they're like way too tense, and I'm like I'm way too chill for that. So like I don't want to be tense. So I go there. It's like part of my daily routine, daily life. Nothing really happened. It's just an interview. It's just a exam. Cool, you do
Just
it.
another interview. Who cares?
Care. The more relaxed you are, the more likely you are to perform well.
True, actually.
But
Fair
definitely
point.
give those first impressions somehow.
That's a fair point, though. I think. Yeah, but still be prepared, though. Don't be, don't be late and like super relaxed and unprepared. I think that's not, it's not the best way to do it. I'm not
Just
saying
like,
you, but
I know. Just go full spontaneous mood.
yeah, I mean, sometimes maybe if you get like invited for an interview the next day or something, then sure, I guess sometimes you have to do it spontaneously, but yeah, who
Yeah,
knows?
definitely. Like, because right now, this AI too, right? So there's a lot of things that AI can do. You have so much advantage with AI, with ChatGPT. You can just insert some cool prompt, tweak it however you like, and then it just spits out a good answer. It's amazing. Have you used it?
Yeah, but well, obviously you can't do that during an exam. I mean, unless you're like you're trying,
No, not during exams. I'm saying like before to prepare for exams or interviews. It's so easy. Like you don't really have to do much research. You just put in a bunch of stuff, and yeah. Obviously, it depends on how the exam is or on how tough the subject is. So there's a lot of
True.
catch.
I could do that. I guess I could. I guess I could. I'm preparing for an exam right now, and
Hmm.
I guess I could just ask ChatGPT some questions, maybe some typical exam questions for this exam, and see what comes out? Like,
There
yeah.
is um there's this website called Notebook LM.
Okay.
So I'm gonna share my screen again.
Yeah, show me.
I'll show you this bad boy, Notebook LM. It's by Google. So you can put anything on it. Like, so you can use like different sources. So for example, this is a topic, and I put all my notes, all my PDFs, all my slides into it, and then it gives you different things. It gives you a study guide, it gives you a briefing doc, it gives you an FAQ, it gives you a timeline, and then you can choose. Oh, so this is what the timeline. And if you want to find FAQ, oh, I think it's already here, but yeah, few questions, blah blah blah, and then you can ask anything. And there's also a way there's a option for podcast too. So based on the sources, you can generate an AI podcast between two people who speak in English, and they talk about all the
Really?
things within the slides. It's crazy, just like how we are
What?
having a podcast right now. Yeah, they have this, and you can
What?
customize it too, and you can focus on different things to try. So the main thing I would say about any of these LLMs, large language models like ChatGPT, Cloud AI, Perplexity, make sure you engineer your prompts right. Try to be as specific or as broad as you want, but make sure you write it in a way that it can understand on what to emphasize it, and then it keeps like spitting out good bars, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm just thinking I could just make a like get a podcast from this thing and then listen to it while I'm traveling or I guess taking the train or
Hmm.
I'm studying for the exam by listening just
Hmm.
while I'm on the go. I think that's really brilliant.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of features. It's like if you're not using it, I feel like people are really missing out on that. Same thing with ChatGPT. Like I want to get the paid version because it's like $20 per month or something in Canadian, and it's really worth it if you know how to use it. I know a lot of people who used it and have done well. I've used it sometimes for a lot of different tasks. It's amazing, and
What does the premium version, what does it give you?
you can for ChatGPT you can do this is not ChatGPT. The one I showed you is Notebook LM. That's by Google, but definitely check it out though. And for
Yeah, I'll check it
ChatGPT,
out.
um, you can you get more prompts. You have more access to more answers, and you have access to the most updated model, which gives the most accurate answers to the best of its abilities. And you can add more documents. You can do stuff with coding related stuff, and it's very very cool. You have a lot of options, and it's not going to go away anyway anytime soon. So it's like it's here to stay. So people should know how to learn to use it, because then they can use it in the future beyond just um, studies, work, or personal use. All right, that's me sucking AI's dick for the last 5 minutes.
You just don't want to be killed by AI robots, right? You just want to be on I'm on your side. Please. I love you guys.
Exactly. I would never abuse you. I always use you.
Never, ever, ever. Oh man.
Ah,
What do you think, how do you come to think about afterlife? Like, what makes you think that we are born again? I'm just really curious.
mm, it's definitely speculation. That's one big thing, because I don't know which religion really follows the concept of being born again in the same world. Because a lot of them focus on being born again in a different world, like in heaven or at hell, whichever way you believe it, based on your actions in the earth. Because that's how most religions are basing things on. But I'm not religious. I'm spiritual to some extent, and definitely feel it makes more sense for us to live in the world and then come back to it again, because we don't know things that are beyond that. So I wouldn't be able to predict it. So it's from my limited knowledge, it's easier to speculate that we come back here and go back. But
Yeah.
then it's like a matter of asking, what is consciousness? Does consciousness re-exist in people? But because the reason why I come to this conclusion is, why are people why do some of them fare well? Why do some of them have shitty lives right from the start? Let's talk about like the most, like the deformed autistic kid, that walks around. Why do they have that condition or that disorder? Yes, he or she hasn't done anything to deserve it right from a kid. So I think it's very unfair for them to start from a really low position and then try to live in this world which is really cruel to people who are not like the majority. So definitely I want them to experience a life where they can feel like they're more normal again. They're more normal. There's something wrong with this. It's oh
Your
god.
hands are just disappearing. It's really
I'm
weird.
like, yeah, whatever. So yeah, definitely
So,
want to make sure that they're normal, and so that's an opportunity for them to experience life in a different lens, and that matters more because then kind of make sure that they have a balanced way of living, right? Or like the soul can experience different bodies or different styles of living. So yeah, that's my answer. So the same thing. So
so
I think
you,
so everyone
yeah,
has an opportunity to live as someone cool or someone bad, but it's like it kind of rotates. But it still matters. Like I don't think so you're predestined right from the start on what you are gonna be, except like your physicality or your mental or cognitive abilities. But it's still a matter of nurture to your environment plays a role too. So it's how you make do in this world that matters too.
yeah.
Nothing's a limitation or a limiting belief.
So you think it's a kind of, it creates a kind of long-term fairness, like that, like the fairness is not achieved in one lifetime, but maybe across over multiple lifetimes. Things balance out in a
Balance,
way.
yes, exactly. That's
Yeah.
how I look at it.
I like that idea, and I think, like, to your question, which religion has that? I'm like, Buddhism does have it in a way. Hinduism, I'm not sure. Definitely the concept of being in different bodies, that's not in Christianity. Like what you mentioned about being born, like being put in hell or heaven, it's still you, like your body, or I don't know, your soul, but it's still defined, it's still tied to you and what you did in your lifetime. Whereas in Buddhism, it's like an ongoing cycle where your what you did in your lifetime affects the next lives down the road, multiple lives. So
Hmm.
if yeah, you were not a good person in some way, then maybe your soul, like, or whatever you want to call it, like not your body, but your soul or mental state, it lives on in the next life. And so if you did some bad things, maybe that's how the next person, like the next bodily manifestation of you gets a really bad deal, like what you
Hmm.
mentioned, like they just like life is not fair, right? Like everyone says, oh, life should be fair, but then we know that there are a lot of people like who are really smart but live in poverty and they're never going to be able to achieve their dream or something, right? But it's like it's not fair, but then this is a way to explain maybe how this happened, because maybe in the previous lives something bad happened, or you know, some people are really well off for no reason. They didn't really do much to deserve it, we think. You know, it's like, why is your life so easy and everything? Like, I mean, a lot of people say that very easily, but yeah, it's not always true. But yeah, it could be like a long-term balance in a way, I guess. You never know. We don't know. We can't prove it or
Exactly. A lot
disprove
of,
it.
yeah, true. A lot of speculation for sure. But yeah, I always try to stay in the side of hope. I like to be more optimistic about things. That's how I am.
Yeah,
There's no point being pessimistic about things because it affects you. But yeah, but not at the same time, nothing is really utopian, right? There's no perfect world, but you can try to make things perfect while you go. You can try to make things,
you
but
think
doesn't
so?
but doesn't necessarily mean that it will be perfect. But you can attempt. But yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, we don't know what
Wouldn't it
happens.
just be trying to be perfect? It's like you're always running after something, but you can't achieve it. Like that's not very satisfying.
Yeah, that is true. But that's how it is in this world. Some people try to give up. Some people try to continue the journey, but it's like lower the bar for what perfect means to you, because
Yeah,
objectively you can't be perfect and do so many things that
that's fair. That's fair.
yeah you can, I would say there's sacrifices. That's the thing. Perfection
Yeah.
requires a lot of sacrifices, and it's very interesting that way. Yeah, everything comes at a cost. Depends on how far you're willing to take it.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
What do you think about the whole afterlife thing?
I don't know. Honestly, so I've been really interested in Buddhism over the last year or two, and I'm starting to, yeah, adopt some of the beliefs and some of the practices. But like the afterlife thing, it's one of the more challenging things for me to grasp. Um, where some of the other like teachings are very natural. They come very natural to me, and I don't have to think too much about, or like there's not much resistance from within me when I learn about them. But for this one, it's something is was telling me it's I'm not ready for that, or it's not the time for this. And that's okay. Like I don't have to, again, perfection, right? Like I don't have
Mhm.
to follow every single thing perfectly and believe everything. I'm not trying to prove to anyone or myself or anyone else like what I should be or how to be a perfect Buddhist or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's more about what you feel inside and what makes sense to you. Someone told me once, you can take what you need and leave the rest behind. I really like that saying, because sometimes we think we have to take everything to belong to a group, or we have to accept everything to be a part of it. And we really want to be a part of it because we don't want to be an outsider, or we want to be accepted by the group. I think we talked about this earlier with the evolutionary stuff. Like everyone wants to be part of the group. But then this was in Calgary when I went to there was a drumming circle. Like it was a big drum circle with sometimes 50 or 60 people, and we're playing the drums together. It was really amazing. And the instructor, he was indigenous, and sometimes he was talking about the world from his perspective and giving some ideas about, we're playing the drums like we're indigenous people and non-indigenous people together, like everyone's playing the drums. And he thought of this as a kind of reconciliation thing. And like once he was talking about his philosophy and the whole colonization and everything, and then he said, like, yeah, like this is my ideas, but you don't have to take this. You can just take what you need and leave the rest behind. Like don't get angry about it if I have a different opinion. You don't have to believe what I say. This is just my idea, and anything that helps you, please take it. Like, take this idea if it helps you, if you find it useful. I'm happy if you find it useful, because then like my idea helps someone, right? It's useful to someone else. But if it's not useful to you, don't get offended, and don't be angry at me, because I can have a different opinion and it's fine. Just move on and take what you need and leave the rest behind. And I really like that, because it's like it frees your mind from this idea that you have to prove who's right, who's wrong. Like you're just arguing. You get into this arguing space where, no, I'm right and I want to prove my point. No, I want to prove my point. No, I'm not trying to prove my point. I'm just saying what I think, and you can disagree or you can agree. I don't care. It's just, we're just exchanging ideas, So I think I'm coming to this kind of idea with Buddhism as well. And I'm not trying to see it as a religion either. I'm not trying to force myself into practices that, I've never done. If I'm curious about it, I'll try it. And if not, then whatever. But yeah, so I feel like it's removed a lot of pressure for me and a lot of expectation on me to achieve something. And it's not about that. It's really just, it's a journey, right? And yeah, that's I think I went on a tangent from the afterlife thing, but yeah, that's what I think.
No, that's very cool to hear. And definitely people have their own opinions on different things on this world, and they're allowed to have that, right? Like it's the freedom of expression, as long as it doesn't harm someone emotionally or physically. I think everyone's allowed to have what they have, but there's different ways of
Yeah.
looking at something. There's no black or white in this world. There's a lot of shades. And
Yeah.
so the truth, I believe in this concept that the truth is always in the middle. So you might be right about something, but and what the other person is saying, he's also probably right about something. But
Yeah.
that doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you have to clash, because he, based on his evidence or reasoning or even past experiences, came to that conclusion of what he thought was right, and the other
Yeah.
person similarly. So the truth is somewhere in the middle, the universal truth.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it because of that. And so yeah, I feel that whenever people get mad or try to one up someone based on their opinions or try to even criticize, it stems from pride, that they're not willing to let go of their pride or ego,
Yeah.
like too much ego. And second thing, this is much harder to prove, but jealousy, envy.
Right.
It kills you. It kills you from inside. Like the jealousy, like when it becomes too much, it forces you to sabotage the other people. And yeah, it's tough because everyone has faced this in their lives for different reasons, and
Yeah.
it's tough to recover because anyone can become completely different, and maybe they were different from the other days, but maybe they're good at hiding themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there is a lot of fakeness in this world, but yeah, it's tough because yeah, I wouldn't say that not everyone is like a saint, right? Like
Oh yeah.
yeah, everyone has their ups and downs, their flaws, and
Absolutely.
it's just a
Yeah.
matter of whether you're accepting of different things and you like each other more than anything else. I would say more than anything else. It's how you spend time. You like the experience of being with someone because that matters more than anything else in the world.
Yeah.
Those memories last a lifetime.
True.
One
Yeah.
thing I learned was when you try to recall a memory, you also feel the emotions attached to that memory. So, and that's it's not you force yourself to think, to act in a certain way, but it just subconsciously springs through. It could either be a laugh or it could be like some kind of you're frightened about something or even happy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. That's really cool. Yeah. I like what you said about the emotions and just yeah, I agree about ego being a big part of that, wanting to be right, wanting to prove your point. Or I didn't think about jealousy before. Do you think someone would be jealous that, they have to maybe they have to admit that the other person is more right and they're jealous because they want to be right? Is that what you're trying to say? Or
Yeah, that could be it. And yeah, it depends on how far they are to, right? So, like, depends on what they achieved too. So, it's a lot of factors for sure.
hmm, yeah. What you said about memories, I think actually smell is one of the strongest memories. When you smell something, it just puts you, it's much stronger actually than any other sense. When there's this thing like the smell of the home where you grew up as a kid, or where you used to
Hmm.
play, I don't know, in the playground, or your grandma's food or something. It puts you back to that moment instantly. It's really powerful, really cool. I don't know if you ever um, noticed that.
Hmm. Smell. I think when you smell certain foods, like you gave that example, when your family or your mom or grandma makes you something,
Yeah.
yeah, like it does trigger something in you, and you can't really verbalize it, but you definitely
Yeah.
feel some kind of
Yes.
nostalgia flowing all over you, and it's definitely interesting. And I don't, yeah, what do you say smell is the most strongest sense
I
that
think.
brings you back compared to
Yeah.
like touch also?
I was basing that on some research I was reading um, a while ago, and
Okay.
yeah, yeah. I could look up probably the references and stuff, but I
Oh,
don't know. It's more some things that are in research, but then you wonder if anecdotally, if it fits to you anecdotally, you know.
because it could be individual to that individual interpretations.
Yes,
'Cause
yes,
some people may
exactly.
prefer some sense more than
True.
something else.
Yeah,
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 I know I'm very sensitive with my smell. Like it's tough. Some like I can smell something like a little bit far away.
wow, yeah,
But it also depends when, let's say, even if you like, going back to substances again. It's crazy. You feel like some senses all of a sudden become yeah, you become resensitized. That's what I said, right? So you're able to smell properly again, and you can hear volumes. I've noticed that when I smoke weed and go to a show, I have to put the things because everything's uh, is much louder compared to when I go there sober, where I don't
Right.
really need to wear earplugs. But when I smoke weed, I have to wear earplugs. The same show, so
Oh,
I've noticed that. So smells also some. I smell more things too when I'm in a trip. I taste something weird. I think you also feel that when you're on shrooms, right? You like
oh
sometimes
yeah.
taste
It's
something weird.
weird. Mm.
Yeah.
I,
Some
I
people
didn't.
puke, some people don't. It's very interesting. Vision
I didn't like it. Yeah.
definitely affects your vision. You see different things. Sometimes you don't, but much more dilute. Like you feel some things are melting. That's what I've seen. Walls are
Yes.
melting. And in terms of skin, like you feel more sensitive to temperature. And one thing that has always been there for me, I'm always so sensitive to temperature. I don't know why. It
Yeah.
was always there for me. Like I can feel like the cold or I can feel the heat like so from far away.
Right.
Temperature especially. It's crazy. Huh.
Yeah. That's. I felt the temperature really intensely yesterday as well. Like it was shifting from feeling really cold to really hot, and it's very strange. And the other thing, I feel a kind of I think the term for it is synesthesia. So it's a melting of your
Mm.
senses. Look it
Mm.
up, look it up. I think it's called synesthesia. So when you feel like your senses are one. I couldn't distinguish between listening and hearing. Like it was all the same. Like all of my senses were the same.
Ah,
It's really strange. I can't
synesthesia.
describe it. Yeah, it happens to me a lot on mushrooms. I just like and that's I think maybe that's what makes it so overwhelming because you feel everything at the same time all at
Mm.
once. Like all
Mm.
my senses, like I could feel the music, I could see the music colors, I could hear it. Like it was just everything at once. And it's really intense. I can't it's hard to describe it. Yeah.
It's true. I don't know why they like describe it like according to Google. Some people think it's at birth. Some people think it has a genetic component, but
Oh, okay.
they haven't mentioned it. Uh, but this is when we are on drugs, right? Because we feel this primarily when we are on substances, right?
Some people have this all the time.
Mm. Yeah. For them, they said, like some studies show that they have some form of autism or like
Yeah.
schizophrenia or something like that. So
Yeah.
it's definitely interesting.
It's very interesting, yeah, how variable we are, you know.
Hmm. Do you believe this is what I believe? I'll go with that first. I think everyone is autistic, but it's a spectrum, and like the people. I don't know. It's really tough to explain it, but I would say like some people are in some times they you feel like as if they are autistic, the way how they behave or the way how they talk. And I'm not trying to judge. I'm just saying it's like, and they may be the smartest person or equally capable, but it's like depends on how they feel. Like they all of a sudden they kind of like cut off like anything. Like they become really obsessive or really compulsive on one single thing, or yeah, or whatever they say doesn't make sense. They probably don't use like logical deduction or reasoning to formulate their thoughts. So yeah, it's very interesting because I it happens in moments. That's what I'm saying. So I'm more inclined to believe that autism is spectrum, and some people are on the far end of it, and some people are more in the lower ends, which do not exhibit any signs that can be medically classified as like autistic. But obviously, this is just my thoughts. It's not scientifically proven, but that's what I think. What do you think?
That's really interesting. So you mean there's a kind of gradient where maybe people have certain attributes, but you can't test it or, classify it in a way? I mean,
Yeah.
I would say definitely there's always, okay, so in clinical psychology, there's always a kind of threshold. You have to make a limit where it's like you score people on some questionnaires, you give them points, and you count the points, you sum up all the points, and then you end up with a number. And then you have to make a threshold where it's like 25 points and you're autistic, and 24 points and you're not. And obviously that's arbitrary in a way, right? Like, where do I define, where does it start, where does it stop? And but in reality it's continuous, right? If you have a 23 versus 27, it's just 4 points difference, right? But if you're 25 versus 29, you're in both cases it's also 4 points difference. But in the second case, both of them are autistic. In the first case, only one person, right? But they have the same difference. So I think there's always a level of arbitrariness and ambiguity in a way. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's really hard to put labels on people and to kind of define who gets a label and who doesn't. And at the end of the day, everyone is different. Either way, if you have a label or not, we're all a little bit different in some way. And so I also take issue with this neurodivergency topic, because it suggests that like people with ADHD, autism, whatever, those people are neurodivergent, so they're different, and then everyone else is normal, like neurotypical. Like, what you're saying, like, some people are different, some people are normal. It's like, no, everyone is different. And it creates this arbitrary kind of distinction between people where it's like, we're all a little bit different, not just you are different. And so because you are different, you can feel like the victim and be like, yeah, I'm being discriminated because I'm different. It's like, no, sorry, everyone is a little bit different. But yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to minimize that people have struggle with having ADHD in society, all that. It's totally valid, but don't take it as something to feel like the victim because you have this thing, and then it entitles you to blame everyone else for your struggles. I think you should. I know it's hard, and you have to deal with being different and having, I don't know, whatever you want to define it, mental illness or abnormality, whatever. It's hard to deal with it, but it shouldn't give you the position of just blaming everyone else for everything. That's what I'm trying to say. And sometimes some people use that in this way.
Definitely, I actually agree with you on that. And to add to that, I think it's easier to treat someone if you prescribe them with something or you put labels on them, because then it's way easier to get, I don't know, the drugs or the funding to make sure that they get treated well, because that's how I would assume it would go. And and um, and these scores, these questionnaires, how much valid they are. Like, I know they may be valid, like if you get a much extreme compelling case, or like but how do we know if it's like not, how do we know if it's longitudinal, like it's all over a period of time, and then like these question is who marks them, do is it based on what they observe or based on what the patient says or like does?
So typically the patient fills it out. You
Okay.
fill it out yourself. But yeah, so that's the first thing. They are validated over large samples, like lots of people. And there's a lot of, in psychology, there's a lot of statistical analysis and testing to make sure the test catches the right people and it doesn't take people who don't have it and puts the label on them. So this is I don't want to go into statistics too much. One is type 1 error and type 2 error. I know you've probably heard about this. So yeah, there's a lot of big samples and validation going on, but the main issue is that we don't have, a lot of the time we don't have a very clear biological marker. Like for a broken bone, you can take an X-ray and see, your bone is broken, right? It's very clear. But for mental things, we can't really prove that there's a physical thing like in your blood or in your brain. It's very hard to pinpoint these things. So we all really rely on the questions and behaviors and what people say, what they say they think, because we can't read their thoughts. We can't do mind reading. Some people say they can, but no, we don't normally can read people's minds. So yeah, we don't really know. It's based on those things, what people say, and yeah, all those things, right?
Definitely. Self-diagnosis, it could be different for everyone. So some people's self-diagnosis may not be as accurate as someone else's. And how do we know they are not manipulating things or they're lying? Because people can do that too. It's very interesting that way.
But then also providers have an agenda. Pharmaceutical companies have an agenda. Like obviously they want to make as much money as possible. Like there's so many different players involved, and it's very it's a lot of gray shades of gray.
Yeah, definitely. Like whenever some people bring this up, everyone thinks it's like, oh, you're anti big pharma, or you're like more into politics and that kind of stuff. It becomes more of a political issue. But then there are a lot of things that are happening on every side. It's just part of life, and you have to do that. Like it's still kind of a business at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
Then we did see, what's his name, that the Luigi, the killer dude, the guy who shot that United Healthcare CEO.
I have no idea.
You haven't heard about that? No way.
No.
It's a huge thing in North America, and I would assume the rest of the world if they Luigi, Luigi, then healthcare CEO. It should pop up on Google first result.
Okay.
Yeah, it's.
Let me see.
Pretty
Apparently
big.
the news are quite different here. It seems like.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Okay. I'll have to read this. That's very interesting.
Yeah, it was. I mean, when did it happen? Last month? I think it happened last month.
It's a very Italian. Sorry.
He's an Italian dude. He's got some Italian roots.
Very Italian name, I was gonna say. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like there's a lot of people who support Luigi. There's a lot of people who are against Luigi because he killed a person. But it's like it's an interesting issue. Like, it's very controversial. So I like those kind of stuff. So kind of gets people against each other. And I watch the world burn.
I know, you like to see the drama.
Hey, this is Dave from Mind and Mayhem. So, thank you for listening to this week's episode. If you like what you hear, please leave a comment. Subscribe to our episode. You can reach us out on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and stay tuned to our next episode coming every few days. See you on the flip side.